Usually, John, to be fair, before I actually start, we hit record, and then for 3 minutes, John and I talk about some really dumb stuff, and then all of a sudden, like gold nuggets start rolling out of John's mouth, and I go, "Stop! Let's just record this," and then we start over. So, you want to let out all the gems before we get started, as usual?
I don't know. This one is possibly in some ways a bit less planned than what we sometimes do. We're kind of rolling it with it a bit more here. So you're going to get maybe more unfiltered here than on some episodes, I think.
This is my favorite part. Hey, welcome to the Dropship Podcast. And today we're live. If you're watching this live, you can tell we're live. If you're watching this as a replay, we are live right now, and we're live because this is a super special moment for John and I. You know, in 2021, we started this podcast with no one listening. And here we are, episode 300, well over 1 million. I think we're probably into multi-million listens at this point, John. It is wild to think that we started this not really knowing what was going to happen. And this has turned into something really special for both of us.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I think I look back, I think, on our first couple of months the other day, actually, like how many listens did we get in the first month and the second month, and you know, and just some other things around, you know, obviously we run a business around this podcast as well. And like how many people were on our email list in the month that we started the podcast? Like how many people did I send out to that our podcast was going live? And, you know, this is the thing, you know, how many people were on that email list? 60.
No. Oh,
60. Nice. And I looked at that and I thought, wow, that's amazing. I mean, when we send out an email now, it goes to tens of thousands of people on our email list around when we put out a new episode and things like that. And you know, I mean, that's it's crazy to think, and that's since 2021. You know, that's a long way, and it's I'm so happy to sit here and see the names of the people who are watching live while we're recording this, and so many of those names of people who I know have been listening since those fairly early days and have followed us the whole way through. And to me, that's it's wild. It's wild, and it's not what I expected when we started. I can tell you 100% that. If you had have said you'll still be doing it at 300 episodes, I probably would have gone, what the fuck are we going to talk about for 300 episodes?
True. We do that every week. Every week we're like, what are we going to talk about? And then we, you know, outline 10 episodes. Yeah, I think it's crazy that just seeing the people's names here is kind of honestly a little emotional for me. This is the loneliest job I've ever had. Podcasting is like really, you get zero feedback. You get numbers on a screen, and it's like really bad analytics, by the way. And so we can see number go up and people join course, and like that's it. And so, like, you know, once in a while we'll get some comments. We shifted to video on YouTube and we get a little more comments, but again, you know, we're not getting a lot of traction on YouTube compared to podcasts. And on the podcast, you get no feedback, right? And so as long as the number keeps going up, John and I are like, I guess it's working, you know. Or maybe on a sales call, they would mention they've been listening to the podcast. And then it really started rolling in that, hey, I've listened to every single show and I've never seen your name before. Like, you've listened to hundreds of episodes at that point, and then they join our course. And it's a strange business model, if I'm honest with you. But it works. But I think it says one thing really, is like consistency is key. There wasn't a week we took off. There wasn't a day we were like, yeah, I don't feel like doing this today. This might be the only thing I've done my whole life where we never took a day off. We just kept showing up, right? And we would notice the dip around the holidays and throw in some of our best hits around that time, maybe a couple shows here and there. But for the most part, we were there every Tuesday and every Thursday, and then we added in Saturday, and it was just like we just kept showing up. And I think that's honestly like the story for any business you run, is that if you just keep showing up, good things are going to happen.
Yeah, it sounds so simple. Like, I mean, I think when, like, we say this a lot, and for people who have, you know, been listening in for a long time, will have heard us say this so many times. And it sounds like so simple to say, like, all you have to do is keep showing up. And you can see a lot of the big names out there as well at the moment in social media land when it comes to business, like people like your Hormozis of the world and stuff. What's he saying every day? Now he's kind of shifted a little bit over the last couple of years, but literally that's his message as well. Just show up. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the hours. You've got to minimum do this much work before you can expect something in return. And so I think it's a very simple message. And I think we are kind of kind of like living proof of that, though, in the sense that, you know, we didn't start with any particular, like, we didn't start in an amazing place, you know, even going back before the podcast, and we just talk about it from a drop shipping perspective. Like, you know, I mean, Ben's working at a Walmart distribution center. I was just working a fairly average kind of corporate type job. We didn't come to it with lots of money. Ben was in debt when he started. I was probably technically in debt as well when I started. Like, we didn't have money behind us. Nothing. We're just ordinary average guys, right? And, you know, I'm pretty sure we could both say that, you know, fast forward to now, we're kind of living the life that we want to live. You know what I mean? And making pretty good money and doing all that sort of stuff. And the only thing I can point to it is that we stuck around. I mean, I'm 10 years in at this point. Ben's, you know, close to that, just behind 10 years. That's literally it. Like, a lot of people ask me all the time, and probably ask our team when they jump on and talk to Holly about joining the program. And the question comes up, what's the difference between people who are successful and people who are not? This is it. Consistency, focus. That's it. Putting in the work, doing the hours, being patient, being committed. And if you do, this is the thing that people struggle with. Like, the average person struggles with this. It's not with knowing what to do. It's not with knowing when to do what to do. It's not a trouble to find the knowledge. The key is doing it, like, consistently over time. And it's not easy. I get that it's not easy when we say that, but I mean, you know, this podcast is proof. The average podcast doesn't make it past 8 to 10 episodes, right? The number that make it to 300 episodes, I'd be willing to bet, is in single figures, probably.
1% for sure.
But like, there's no big plan here behind this show. Like, we just keep showing up and doing it. Like, every week we kind of get in. We're like, sometimes we have a bit of a plan. Sometimes we're like, you know, and we come up with a plan for some episodes on short notice. And it's not like there's some grand scheme. It's not like there's a massive team of people behind the scenes helping us out here, because there's not. Some of our episodes are dog shit. Some of them are fantastic, but we just get in and keep doing it. We just keep doing it. Literally, we keep doing it. And so, I mean, that's the thing that, you know, for people who are here, I know a lot of people who are listening to this have that message, because I know them. I see their businesses. I know they're doing the work and they're doing it consistently. And there's some people who are on watching us live now who are doing really well because of that, in their high ticket dropshipping businesses. And but that's the message. If anybody can take away from listening to this episode, whether you're live or you're listening to the recording, is that you've literally got this. The outcome that you want is there, and you can attain it. But you've just got to hang out. You've just got to stick it out. It doesn't matter if you're good at it. It doesn't matter if everything you do is a winner, because it won't be. Everything we do is absolutely not a winner. But we just keep doing it, and enough stuff sticks to the wall that you make forward progress.
You know, we kind of talked about this earlier. John and I spent the last 3 hours discussing the live event and kind of planning a bunch of stuff around it. And we talked a little bit about one of our students, Matt Kemka. I don't know if Matt's in here or not. If you're in Slack, you've definitely seen his name. He helps everyone. He's fantastic. And John was like, you know him better than I do. What's he doing that makes him so special? And I was like, he's literally just doing the work. He doesn't think about it, where I like to spin things in my head and worry about stuff, where John's really good at pushing me through that and making us be this consistent. I would say it's the same thing in your dropshipping business. Can you just go out, put stuff out to the world, find out whether it sucks, and then iterate and just keep doing that? And so, I think it shows up everywhere, John, whether it's in your health, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your relationships. Can you just continue to keep showing up and doing the work? That's it. How does Hormozy say it? Like, the work needs doing, I believe is how Alex is saying it. And so it's the truth. I'm just thankful we're here. I see a lot of names on here, a lot of people saying a lot of nice things. Yalitza, I definitely see you. Thank you so much. Corey, you did not miss anything. Thank you all for being here. Like this, I don't know. I'm getting a little emotional, John, if I'm honest with you. This is kind of cool.
Cry.
I could, if you want. I race my stepdaughter into who can fake cry first, and I'm pretty good at it, man. So
Really?
I'll get. She tries. She still tries.
Nice one. Nice. Yeah, I think I think the other the other thing that I think keeps this going is as well, like the amount of people who have like tuned into the podcast and listened from the start and kind of started a business just off that. I think that's like whether they're in our course or not. I mean, that's crazy to me. I think, you're right. You don't get a lot of feedback, but every now and then we get emails from people or whatever. And, they're like, oh, I've been doing this. I was listening to the podcast. I've started this business, blah, blah, blah. And to me, I didn't expect people would do that just from listening to a podcast. And that's really wild. So, I mean, those emails, I mean, if you think about, how do we keep doing it? Like after 300 episodes, keep showing up and doing it. I think that's a large part as well. So I'd be thankful to anybody who's written into us over the years of doing this show. And we're not slowing down at this point either, by the way. It kind of sounds a bit like there's going to be a goodbye coming at the end of this, but there's not. We're not going anywhere, but like keep writing in. Anybody who's listening, like if you think like, oh, Ben and John don't want to hear from me, or it's just little old me over here, as if Ben and John are going to care about that or whatever. Like we absolutely do. Every time I get an email from somebody saying like, oh, hey man, I love your podcast. I'm doing this. I'm taking some action because of it. I mean, that's the point. That's why we do it. And so please, always feel free. Anybody who's listening, always feel free to write in. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us what you're struggling with. We love that shit. That's the most, like, out of all the things I can do, that's one of the most special things when I hear from people, whether they're a student of ours in our course or whether they're just somebody out there in the world who writes in and says, what you guys do has changed my life even a little bit. Like you might be cynical and sit there and think, Ben and John do this just for money and they've got a business attached to it and all that. Yeah, sure. That's true for sure. But like our motivation has always been, one, the minute we don't find this fun anymore, we're going to stop doing it. Remember, we had that conversation right at the very start, Ben, was our guiding light here is, can we help people? And if it's fun, we'll keep doing it. The minute it's not fun and we don't enjoy it, we're just going to stop. And I think that's still the case. So hearing from you guys out there, the people who are listening every week, tuning in for the 3 episodes or whatever we're doing, I mean, that means the world to us. So please never feel backwards about that in coming forwards. If you've got something to share, we want to hear from you. And I just want to take a quick break there and say thank you, Alan, for the comment about my hair. I agree. It does look a bit better short. I think the long hair is probably part of a younger me not wanting to let go of the fact that I'm over 40. Probably won't be making a comeback anytime soon. And thank you to everybody who's commented about my hair in the last month. It's always fantastic to hear that stuff.
Mrs. K just dropped in. She said you used to look homeless, and she likes it as well, by the way. So just pass it.
Thank you, Heather. I know you love the short hair. Ben tells me all the time what you think.
Oh, that's great. No, there's some good ones in here too, of like Ian saying, congrats on 300 episodes. There's many times I've wavered in my progress. You've been that consistent message in turning up to finish what you start. And so, like, the fact that we're churning out episodes and that makes people keep showing up, like that means the world to me. Because there was podcasts out there that did that for me. I don't know what it was for you, John, who kept you motivated through the tough times. And if we're that for a lot of people, that's awesome.
Well, I think for me, it is a while ago, right? I mean, I'm talking about, I started 10 years ago, which in and of itself, just in business, I mean, my first business I started building that 10 years ago, launched it 10 years ago in 2014. And to me, even that length of time is wild to think that I'm still going. Did I think that I mean, that was my goal to still be going when I started. Did I actually believe that? I don't think I did, truly, in my heart. And so it's hard to think back and remember, who was I listening to? How was I keeping myself engaged and motivated? I definitely think a big part of it was hanging out with other people. Like we were talking about our live event before we started recording this episode. That's a massive part of it. Like, I think it's it's easy to underappreciate how important that is when you're at the start of the journey. It makes a massive difference. So like you and me were in a little mastermind group in the early days. I was in various of those where, you'd get on a call once a week or once a fortnight with a group of other people who are about the same stage, and just talk about stuff. I know there's a bunch of people on this call who are in little masterminds together as well, I think, who are here now. And there's people who met at our live event last year who still talk to each other, every once a week or every so often, and hold each other accountable and share ideas and all of that sort of thing. And I think that's really the biggest thing. Yes, absolutely. If you can find people online who you can listen to, tune in at once a week or whatever, and listen to them, and absolutely, I think that's part of it as well. I mean, there's different ways that you can find that, but I think you have to find it. And the more you can find it, the better as well. I mean, humans, from an evolutionary perspective, we're a social animal. So we do better when we have relationships, when we interact with other people. I mean, that's not really any debate about that. So
for me, it was the stories. Like, I remember hearing stories of people ahead of me who, quote unquote, had made it. I think the stories back then were shifted towards like living on the beach and making $2,000 a month, which, sounded pretty awesome to me back then. I don't think MacBooks fare very well on the beach, but $2,000 was a low bar, and $2,000 was a lot more back in 2015, by the way, than it is in 2024. I'll say that inflation is wild, but like, those stories kept me going. That's what it was for me. That's the reason we started Freedom Friday. I don't think we call it that anymore, but if there's people in this chat saying I've listened to all 300 episodes, which is wild, by the way, if you spent that much time with John and I. If you go back, though, there's some great stuff. There's my story, there's John's story, there's John Murphy, there's Kellen, there's Brian Angel, Holly is on there. Man, I'm drawing a blank at this point. Jaden, who else is some Australians that have been on there as well? John, was it Reese and
Tris?
Tris and
Blake, yep. Still thinking of going to try and get Carla on at some point in the near future as well to share her story. She's got a fantastic story here in Australia as well.
John Grant was on there.
Yeah, John Grant. He's here somewhere today. Yeah. Those stories are awesome. I think that was part of it for me as well. I think when I started though, at the time I started, like, it was there was much less more available. Like, I was the only Australian person I knew who was doing this back then. Like, there was nobody else that I could find that was doing it. And that number started picking up. A few other people like Matt Scott, a friend of ours who spoke at our live event last year. He came onto the scene shortly after me. And so I started talking to Matt every so often and that sort of thing. And so I think the opportunity now, today in 2024, to put yourself in a room with people who are doing the sort of stuff that we do is significantly larger than it used to be, which is really cool as well. So for somebody who's getting started right now and looking to get started, you have way more options than in 2014 when I started, for sure.
Way more knowledge, right? Like, we try not to tell you how many videos are in our course because that might turn somebody off of like, holy crap, I got to watch all those videos. But it really is 10 years of everything that you've learned, everything that I've learned. We're not even done. We're not even close to done. Like, if John got his way, Ben would be putting out a lot more videos into the course. And so, like, I think John has more he'd like to have in there. I think, Holly, if you're listening, we'd like you to put some stuff in there. And like Valentina, a mindset coach, we'd love to have some mindset stuff in there. And just the information that's available to today's high ticket dropshipper is wildly different than anything we had, and like truly allows you to not have to go through the years of figuring it out that you and I had to figure out, not only in Australia, but just like figuring out this business model.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. I had somebody ask me the other day, they emailed in, they're like, oh, I'm thinking of joining this course over here. It was some course, and I was thinking of joining your course, and why would I join your course? And I was kind of like, I went and looked at the other person's course who I hadn't heard of, and it was like, I started high ticket dropshipping 2 years ago, and I've made some sales, and now I've got a course kind of thing. And I was like, oh, that's cool, good on that person. But like, what's the difference? Well, it's we've got to combine 20 years of high ticket dropshipping experience, and you can't skip that. You can't, like, there's just so much in that you can't replicate. And I think that's kind of one of the good things about this podcast. I mean, the amount of experience behind this is like unmatched. Like, it literally is unmatched in the drop shipping space, at least. Nobody else has the depth of experience that we have. And shout out to any of our competitors out there who might listen into this. It's true. And
call them out, John. Call
them out. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to do that, but it's true. And yeah, the amount of knowledge that people have access to these days is far higher. And that's why I say, like, it's not the access to the knowledge that holds people back. Really, sometimes people will use that as a crutch to avoid the fact that they're not taking action. Like, oh, I don't know enough, or oh, I need to know more before I can do something, and all of that. That's not your excuse. It's impossible that is an excuse today in 2024. If you're relying on knowledge to stop you from doing the things that you want to do, or you should do, let me knock that crutch right out now. That's bullshit. You're using that to avoid doing the work because the knowledge is there.
I got to shout out our boy John Grant. We mentioned him. He said, this podcast, your course, and working with both of you has completely changed my life. I love you guys. We love John too. So look, we built the course to get everyone to build a profitable store. And then last year, John and I said, well, why don't we start making bets on some of our students? Like, we love hanging out with these people. We think we can offer more in this business model directly in businesses. So, the comment we get all the time is like, why do you guys teach this? Why don't you just do it if you're so good at it? Well, we do it, and we partner with people, and John Grant's one of those people. So I'm excited for what we're doing in the partnership realm. And not only, this podcast gets people to start a business. Our course gets people to grow their business. And if we can partner with people to grow, 8-figure businesses and really change the world, like that's what excites me, John. So I just want to shout out John as I saw him in there. John's one of my favorite people. So, and he's from Wisconsin. Who doesn't like people from Wisconsin? You about to raise your John Grant's about to creep up.
Crickets. Where's that?
A lot of people commenting that we care a lot, John. I'm glad that comes through, man. I'm really glad that comes through, because there is a lot of BS online. Like, a lot of BS online. Heck, I'm in some groups of people who are like, hey, how do I throw up my first offer? I don't know shit about this, but here's what I'm going to say. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're part of those groups too, John, if I'm honest with you. And just like, I'm glad that it comes through that we actually give a crap. And I think, people in the course probably would even like tell you even more of just like how available we make ourselves and how much we do care. And so I'm really glad that shines through.
Yeah. Me too. And I think going back years when thinking about putting ourselves out there as the drop shipping guys, and talking a lot about drop shipping, which as a term is probably has a lot of negative connotations associated with it with a lot of people, because there have been a lot of dodgy people in the space trying to make money. There still is. Like, literally, I had a post in my Facebook feed from some company that does done-for-you drop shipping websites with a single product on them and blah, 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 saying the secret tool that every drop shipper uses. And it's like, what the fuck is that nonsense, right? I clicked into it, and it was just all complete bullshit. And like, that's an ad. That's what people are saying today when it comes to drop shipping. And I think in the beginning, that was probably a hesitation for both of us. I know that was a big resistance point for you. Ben, I can tell everybody, Ben did not want to be the dropshipping guy for a very long time. It took me about a year or more to convince him to be here where we are right now. I'm glad it worked. But there's a big resistance point. I get why people would be skeptical about what we talk about and about what we do. I mean, that's the state of the online world at the moment, unfortunately. But I am also very grateful that, I mean, it's true, we do care. And I think we always bring this back to like remembering what it was like to get started ourselves, and at least for me, and thinking about, well, what do I wish was around when I started? Because like 8 years ago or 9 or 7 years ago when I looked, there still wasn't what I wish existed when I started. Nobody had done that yet. And I think Ben's on his blackberry lemonade today. Yeah, somebody asked.
I'm addicted.
Nice. And yeah, so I mean, that's a large driving force behind the podcast, behind, everywhere, our Facebook groups, our programs, our whatever. It was very much just to create an experience for people who want to change their life via starting a business that, at least for me, that I wish existed when I started. Because I know if it did, I would have gone a ton faster than I did, for sure.
Yeah. How did we start? You know what I mean? Like I sometimes look back and just like try to figure it out, and like everything that you and I learned, I paid $1,000 for. I don't know what you paid back in the day, but everything that we learned, and this is the truth, John and I have given you for free on the podcast. All of it. Like the business model itself hasn't changed, right? But it was like, how do you do this? And how do you do this? Like that's all the stuff that we had to figure out along. Like, how do you do marketing, right? How do you run Google Ads the right way? Which I think I taught one way, and then call it the inverted funnel. I think that stuck around for a while, and like you teach it. Do you have a name for you? We should come up with a name for Johnson.
You should come up with a catchy name. No, I don't have one actually.
And like SEO was just like trial and error. Shout out to Corey Eckert. He got me. I didn't even know what SEO was, and then like once I stumbled into it, I got like seriously addicted to it. I was just, oh, this is fun. You can do work one time and get paid forever. You don't have to keep buying ads. And so, and I don't think I even learned some of the stuff that you had to learn that's in the core. I think that's why we came together. There's so much out there that we had to learn on our own. And I don't know, I'm thankful that it's all in one place. And I'm thankful that we give it away for free. Like genuinely, people have started big businesses off this podcast, which is really cool to think about.
Yeah, it is. I struggle to remember getting started. Literally, me and my wife, Catherine, I don't know if she snuck in here somewhere. She knows it's happening. Hi,
Kat.
I mean, we had 3 kids in the time that I've been building businesses. And I got to be honest, like my first business, I started like just before we had our, one of those children. It was a blur, man. Like he struggled to sleep for about 2 years. And like, I built that first business mostly on about 4 hours of sleep a night for a long time. And it was hard. My short term, my memory of that is fucked just because I was getting no sleep. And it was all a blur, working a job, building a business. So, man, I know there are people out there who struggle with that. Believe me, we get you. We feel you. I was there for a long time. And it's tough, but you can do it. So just keep trying. It will come together. It never feels like it, but it will.
I do remember some of it. There's got to be something that stands out to you. Like I often reference memories as like still frame. So that's how they show up for me, at least. I can see like a still frame and then a feeling that goes with it. And so I can still see, I remember like, working my job. I was driving a P, which is like a motorized thing that hauls 2 pallets. And all day long, I'm picking dog food and cat litter and just non-conveyable products. And every one of them, like, oh, could this be a niche? And I have a still frame in my mind of the treadmills we were selling at Walmart. But also just like that it was 4 a.m. and I hated my life and all I wanted to do was go home and play Call of Duty and please get me out of here. I need to start a business. And just like, I can remember some of that pain. And in fact, I walked into the office the other day at like 8:01 and it really stood out to me. And I was just like, holy shit, if I would have done this at my old job, I would have it was a step back then. You get like 3 steps and then you're fired. And I was just like, thank God I don't have to deal with that anymore. Like I do remember the pain of like a job. And how hard, you had a kid through that matter. I didn't have a kid going back then, but how hard I had to fight through, working 410s and getting this done and working odd hours and just, still having to put in the work. I think there's a lot of people in that position still who are, working a full-time job and they got a family and they still got to build this business. And like, it's worth it, man. That's all I would say. It's worth it to keep showing up and just get it done.
Yeah. It's absolutely worth it. It's going to be at least a couple of years where it doesn't feel good all the time, right? I mean, that's the reality. But it's that old saying: you do a couple of years like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. It's 100% true. I mean, I like in hindsight, I can absolutely say. I mean, that's where I am now. I can do things that most people can't at this point in time. And so, and I'm very thankful for that and everything. But like people look at people who are maybe where we are and might say, oh, you're lucky and oh, blah, blah, blah. No, fuck off. There's no such thing as that. There's no luck. There's fucking hard work. That's it. Like people always like I've heard that like talk to people about what I do, and I get the sense that people think, oh, you're just lucky it worked out for you and blah, blah, blah. Fuck no. That's like insulting. Like literally, I just did things that you won't do. That's it. Now you're the same, right? I'm not suggesting that I'm any different. That is the only thing that has led to my success. I just work harder. That's it.
This is why I hate the hate of rich people in this country, and they should pay their fair share and just like must be nice to be them. They got all this money, they should. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? They work their fucking face off to get there, and like, you should respect that. Not like, how can I take from them? Like, I don't get it, man. Like, that's all it is. Like, the only difference between you and anyone listening to this who isn't to that point yet is like the work. That's it. Just do the work.
Yeah. And look, I mean, some people inherit money and all of that sort of thing. That's true. It's actually a smaller percentage of wealthy people than you think. But like, yeah, to me, anytime somebody like says that, like, oh, you should tax John more and like whatever, like, why? Why? You should get taxed less because you're lazier than me? And you're going about, oh, but my upbringing and my background and oh, it's so hard for me. No, fuck off. It's the same level of hard for everybody. It's just fucking hard for everybody doing what
America's rubbing off on you, John. I can see it. The freedom is just wafting through this screen to John.
It's true. Like, and I think my thinking over the years has shifted on that a bit. Like now, like, I mean, you're right. I pay. I started at zero, and I pay the tax of about 10 Australians every year. 10 people with an average income. I'm like, what? Yeah, why should I do that? I'm being rewarded for working harder. Great.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, like, I mean, literally, how many 18-hour days did I work to build a business and do a job? Like, fucking a lot for many years. I mean, I still do that even now sometimes just because I want to get something done. So anyway, whatever. We could go on about that for a long, long time.
So just a little inside baseball. We have an episode scheduled for July 4th. And as I was typing it out in our little spreadsheet of like, what can we talk about on July 4th? I think I'm going to, when you get someone into Bitcoin, you orange pill them. I don't know what the color is for USA, but I'm going to, red pill you, blue pill you, red, white, and blue pill you on that episode. So I'm excited. Episode 319. You guys look out for that one. We're going to red, white, and blue pill, John.
Yeah. Fun times. Can't wait.
Look, we should probably answer some of these questions.
Before we answer some questions, I'm just going to throw out there. So we, for anybody who's listening who is not a Dropship Breakthru member, and if you are, fantastic. Thank you for being here. We are celebrating our 300th episode with a special deal on Dropship Breakthru membership. And so I'm going to put that out there right now. At this point in time, I'm only putting it out there to people who are live on this call. This special offer is going to go out to when the 300th episode actually gets posted, which will be next week on Tuesday, the 21st, I think that is. Something like that, next Tuesday. And it'll be live until the 28th, so just after Memorial Day in the US. So basically, for the next 50 people who join, my
ring light's killing this thing. Come on.
We're giving you a package on the course that will save you $1,741. You get full lifetime access to the full Dropship Breakthru program. We're giving you 3 months of our free elite membership, 3 months of our elite membership for free. You get the Superstore theme. You get all the other bells and whistles, niche verification, Facebook group access, the Superstore theme. We're throwing in 2 1-hour one-to-one coaching calls that you can use at any time with any member of our Dropship Breakthru coaching team, which we normally sell those at $175 per call. So you get 2 of those included with your membership, and the price is $1,897. So you can get that deal if you go to dropshipbreakthru.com/300. You can, I'm going to put that on the screen, so it's going on the bottom of the screen here. you can get that special deal. As I said, it's only open for 50 people. If you're listening to it on this call right now on this live, you're the only person that's hearing about it. So if you want to get into Dropship Breakthru and start building your own business with our support, with our help, with all of our knowledge, you can do that right now. As I say, it will close when 50 are sold, or if they're still open when we get to the 28th of May.
See that last comment, John?
It's a no-brainer. You're crazy if you don't take them up on this. Sell a kidney, says Victor. I like your thinking, Victor. Sometimes you just got to do what it takes. And well, I'm
my lawyer is my lawyer's in my ear saying we do not recommend selling your kidney. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, that's true. We do not. All right. So thank you.
That's
I'm going to
really
leave
cool,
that
though,
little
man.
thing up there on the bottom. It's a good deal. We don't do the deals often. Dropship Breakthru. We do a big one around Black Friday usually, which is, a long way away. We don't have any more planned at this point this year. We only do them every now and then when we think of doing it. So if you want to get in, if you've been waiting to join, snap up that deal now. It's a good one. All right. We got lots of...
You're on a live call. This isn't coming out until Tuesday. So if you are live on this call, we're only doing 50 of them. So grab your slot. And then this will go out the May 21st to the masses with whatever's left.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, let's get some questions. We've actually got lots of comments in here. Thank you guys for all of your comments too, as we're going. Keep them coming. They're fantastic. I'm going to come in here and maybe in no particular order. I'm going to I'll try and do them in some order, but we're going to just go down the list here. Adine asked a question. And this is a tough one. Any good recommendations for individuals/organizations to help with Google Merchant Center suspension? Probably a topic we could talk on at length, which we probably don't have time now. Look, I'm going to be honest, Adine, the answer is no. The Google Merchant Center suspension stuff, misrepresentation and whatnot, has been an ongoing issue for some time now for people. It doesn't happen for everybody. It happens for a reasonable number of people. It always gets fixed. I don't know anybody who's permanently off. I do know people who have suffered it for lengthy periods of time. And as a result of this, there have been all sorts of people springing up all over the internet claiming that they can fix Google Merchant Center suspensions and they have some insider knowledge or some insider stuff. That's bullshit. I have not seen. Well, it's not bullshit. It's an AI-driven process. Like literally, there are people at Google who do not understand why some sites get suspended. Like flagged. It is in the first instance a completely automated process. And we've spoken to people at Google who have looked at a site and said, well, I don't know why that's suspended. And I don't have the power to override it right now. So the notion that there is a third-party organization that knows how to unfix a site every single time, it's not the case. And I've heard of all sorts of people buying these services from all sorts of companies, from individuals on Fiverr, and I've not heard of one that can do it every time. What is more likely to be happening is that you're paying somebody to do it, they make a bunch of changes, and then your site at some point after that gets unsuspended, which may have happened anyway, and people correlate the two. Right? Now, yes, sometimes there are genuine reasons why sites get suspended, for sure. You may, but sometimes there is not. Sometimes there is not. I just want to be really clear about that. And so, no, we don't have somebody we recommend for that. The one thing I will say that I do see from a lot of people, though, and this is not directed at the person asking the question at all, at Adine, is that I see a lot of people out there who think that Google Shopping ads are the be-all and end-all of high-ticket dropshipping. And if they don't get into Google Merchant Center, somehow they can't do the business model. That's not true. And then they kind of sit there and do nothing until their suspension is lifted. Not true at all. That is absolutely not what you should be doing. Yes, it fucking sucks. Righto. Pick yourself up and get on with it, though. Like, Google Shopping is the first traffic source we use because you can turn it on instantly and you can make some sales there. That's fantastic, right? If you can't do that, though, there's still a lot of other ways you can get traffic to a website. Google Shopping is not the biggest traffic channel over time for a high-ticket dropshipping business. Organic search is at this point. So get to work. Build out other stuff. Do other things. You don't just have to have Google Shopping, Google Merchant Center. There are other courses out there for sure, and other people on YouTube and other people on the internet who the best of their marketing knowledge is, turn on Google Shopping ads, and that's automatically a sign that that person's just a copycat feeding off somebody else's knowledge, right? They haven't actually done the shit, right? If you haven't built a high-ticket dropshipping store with SEO and done that well, then you don't deserve to talk about high-ticket dropshipping, in my opinion. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and it's a sign you have no experience. So if you're hearing that from people, just ignore them. Ignore the fuck out of them. There's so much else you can do. So if you are suspended, please don't, if you're listening to this, please don't just stop and think, I'm defeated at this point. Yeah, it is a setback, and it sucks. I don't want to underplay that. It will get fixed at some point, even if it's months away. You've got the rest of your life to do this, right? This is not it needs to work tomorrow situation. And if that's where you are, you're in the wrong business is not for you, if that's the case. So we won't go into that any further, but that's what I'd say about that. All right. Next question was from Jess. Hey, Jess. Jess is stressing over shipping costs. I feel like often the supplier providing shipping costs is hurting my profit and the price I can list my products at. Finding that my list price is higher than other competitors due to the shipping costs built in to offer free shipping. Any tips around this? Could this mean I'm trying to sell the wrong products? You want to take that one, Ben?
That is the buzzword of the day. Wrong products. John, would you? Is there a rant loading currently as we talk about products? Sorry, John hates products. He talks about the person. Look, I'm going to guess you went with something big and bulky. I think we definitely recorded this. I don't know if it's been out yet, but John and I kind of talked about this is one of the things you should think about in the industry that you're going into is if you are going to sell something that has high shipping or likely has high shipping, but your product costs are $1,000, maybe $1,200, $1,300. This is where you kind of run into those issues where shipping eats up a lot of the margin, right? Let's say you have 30% margins on a $1,000 product, but that thing weighs 200 pounds. You're probably going to eat up to $300 shipping that product. And so for me, when I've ran into this and in the places we've made it work, one, push back on your supplier, like walk them through the math. Say, here's the price you're giving me. Here's what it costs to ship to the customer. Here is 7 other people that sell your products that all offer free shipping. Either they are the 7 dumbest people on the planet and they are losing money every time they sell your products, or something isn't computing here. In order to sell your products, I'm going to need better margins. Like, Holly says this best, and I hope we can get her to talk about it at the live event is, this is your business. They should be wanting to work with you. So go show them the numbers and be like, hey, if you want me to sell your products, I'm going to need to sell them profitably in order to run a business. 2, that has worked really, really well for me in the past is bundles. So oftentimes people aren't just buying the product from you. They're buying a bunch of other things that go with the product. Easiest example here is like the grill cover for a pellet grill. Lots of accessories that can come with grills. There's likely lots of accessories that come with your product. Can you bundle them all together and name the bundle? That's where I found the most success. So we started calling things the platinum blank or the silver blank. Now there's actually search volume around platinum and that the product that we were selling. And so like, can you build search volume around it? Can you build a bundle? I like to go good, better, best. Can you build a good, better, and best bundle of things people are already going to buy with the product? And so if your product's $1,000 and it costs $300 to ship it, you're likely going to sell them a bunch of accessories that pushes that up to $1,400. The accessories don't cost any more to throw on the pallet with the product that you have. That's where you can drive your margins up. So that's the 2 pieces I have for advice. Again, I think it's country dependent too, John. I know in Australia, you guys only exist on the coast, right? And so if you're selling from one coast to the other, that can be a nightmare. Where I'm fortunate enough to be in the middle of the country. Things I ship from here tend to even out, but even that happens here, right? If I'm shipping from the East Coast to California or from California or Washington over to New York City, that can be a nightmare too. I think getting clear when you sign up with a supplier of what you can expect, what does it look like to ship an order if they're in Washington or if they're in Oregon to Florida? What does it look like to ship an order to New York City? Kind of getting clear on that stuff beforehand can help you have these conversations before you find out the hard way, which unfortunately I think is how some people find out when they sell a product and then go, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose money on this.
Cool. Thanks, Ben. Nice one. Hope that helps you, Jess. Colton asked us, so what were you all talking about before you started recording? A lot of bullshit, Colton, to be honest. I mean, Ben and I used to get on a call every week, once a week. It was just a regular thing. This was through COVID and all of that sort of time. And I mean, we talk about business stuff for sure and what we were doing, what we were working on. I would hassle Ben every single call to do Dropship Breakthru with me for about 12 months. That worked eventually. I made fun of him a lot. But we just talk about life too, like family, all sorts of shit, like the weird shit that we're into as 80s and 90s kids, music. We share the same musical tastes. We talk about all sorts of stuff, and it was just a way to connect with somebody like-minded who understands like a lot of the things you're going through. Once again, a very important thing to have going. I personally used to look forward to that call every week because where I live, I didn't know anybody else who's like as into the same sort of stuff, like from a business perspective, who would understand anything that I'm actually doing. And so getting on a call with Ben kind of was a bit of an outlet for a lot of the things that I wanted to share with somebody who would actually understand what I was doing. It was very important, like I say, we've already said it on this show, having that is very important. Next question was from Cody. We're going to try and whip through some of these quickly, I think. Ben, you can take this one. Should I start implementing SEO on my current products before trying to secure more suppliers?
I actually think you and I disagree on this one, so it'll be interesting that you're letting me answer this. I can't help myself. I want to do it from day one. And so, it's a little further along in the course, some of the stuff I'm putting in there. But if you can just build the system, so go watch the videos and build the system, every product you upload from then on is done right. And so I think if you can mix John's copywriting talk with my SEO stuff for the products that is in there, like that's it. Like just get that done right, and you will be surprised how many things work well in your favor. As we're recording this, which is the 15th, this comes out on the 21st. The collection section will be done and live, hopefully, when this comes out, or middle next week as well. That's your process, though. Like just get your products done. Don't even worry about the collections. Like that'll come if you can just get your products right, and then build out the collections, and then build out the content that supports that. You're going to be in a wildly different place in 6 months to 12 months down the road. That you're just delaying that clock. So I don't know. I'm torn on this because I love SEO, where I think, can you get a good offer in place and run some ads and make some sales? Money solves a lot of problems there too, and takes a little bit of burden off you and stress off you. And so I'd probably find somewhere in the middle. Can you build the system, which there's spreadsheets in the course for you to do this, for you to build a system to upload this correctly? If you can just get that part done, just like, do 80% more than other people are doing, do the 80-20. That's probably where I'd start. I don't know. John might fight me on that one. You jumped over one, John. I actually want to know the answer to this too. Will you consider a live event in Australia again?
Yeah, look, and thanks for the question. Look, possibly. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. I think definitely a live something in Australia again. Is it going to be the same every time? Like I said earlier in the show, at this point, Ben and I consider these events on a case-by-case basis, just because it's a lot of work that does take us away from other things that we could be doing from a business perspective for our students. There's other ways that we can provide value for people. And so there is a balancing act there. There's a lot of work involved. If you've never run a proper event, like at a venue, like we do, I mean, like our Salt Lake City one it's at the Hilton Hotel in Salt Lake City. I mean, there's a bit that goes into doing that, and we don't have a big team of people at this point helping us with that. We've got the fantastic Amira over there in the US who helps us out, one of our members. She's wonderful. So that's helpful, but it's a lot of work. And like I said, we run smaller, intimate events so that people have a chance to interact and get to know each other and interact with me and Ben as well. Right. And so what the downside of that is that we don't make money on the tickets. We lose money on the tickets. Like Ben said, our last one in the US, we lost 50,000. I think our Australian one, we probably lost about 20, 30,000 or something like that. I think rough numbers off the top of my head. So that's a real consideration for us. We could try and make it much bigger and open it up to the whole world and say, have 3 or 4 or 500 people in the room. But I got to be honest, I don't really care for that. To me, that's not really a valuable experience for people. And you're not going to get the maximum out of it. And our guiding light is always to change people's lives and do that sort of thing. So what do we do? Not committing to another Australian one. There won't be one this year. I will say that. There won't be one in 2024. I have no interest in doing 2 in a year at this point, personally. And so will there be one in 2025, or will there be one in another country? Maybe we do one in Thailand. Maybe we do one in Bali. Maybe we do one somewhere else. That's a possibility as well, near to Australia. Do we do more in the US? Once again, we decide that after we finish the next US live event. As to what's going to be the next. This is literally how we work. We get it done. We see how it went, how we feel it went for us, how we feel it went for the people who attended. And if we think it's warranted to do another one, we'll do more. But, if people want to ensure that we do more, buy a ticket. That's the best way of getting us to do more. Turn up to the ones we're doing. I would also say as well, just for anybody listening, in the past, we put out the recordings to people in parts of our membership. We won't be doing that anymore. So if you attend our live events, you're the only person that's going to see them. The recordings will no longer be provided for upcoming events to anybody other than people who attend. So if you want to see, get what goes on there, and there's going to be new stuff at the one in Salt Lake City, you got to be in the room. All right. I'm just going to go down. Finding questions. There's so many.
There's a lot.
Here's one from.
If you don't get your question answered, I'm going to pull some of these out of here, and we're going to put them. Shows.
We absolutely will. Cody asks, where do you see yourselves in 5 years and in 10 years?
You want me to take that?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a good question.
So there's 2 sides of this. Where do I see us, and where do I see the world? And the truth is, I think the world is wildly different. And I mean, like before cell phones to cell phones different in 10 years. I think every single person on this call will have an AI agent. I think every person on this call will either be on UBI or potentially you'll have compute that you can use your computer. You can sell your compute or you can give it to a charity. I think we're in an unbelievably wildly different place than we are right now. So I don't know where that leaves me. I can't turn it off. I don't know why anybody would want to. And so I definitely will be playing some sort of business game because business is the funnest game I've ever played. But I don't know what that looks like. In 5 years, I'm really hoping right now we have a handful of partners, students that we have placed bets on that we think, we like the people, we like the business. Let's go build this. I think in 5 years, John and I have a full team who's helping us with those partners, helping run ads, helping do SEO, helping in all the places we can to grow a business, email marketing, whatever that looks like. And John and I are, being the best partners that we could be, getting on calls and probably doing a lot of therapy with some of the partners. That's usually how a lot of the calls go. But growing businesses, that's the only place I know I'll be in 5 or 10 years is still playing this game because I love business. I love it so much. I can't explain it. I found it at 30 and I was like, oh, this is way better than Call of Duty. This is really fun. You can really do some cool stuff. I've got a huge note of ideas. I've mentioned quite a few of them on this podcast. I can't turn it off. I wish I had a bigger team who could implement these things for me because it's so fun to go do things, go create, and then watch the world change because you created something. It's unbelievably fun. I don't know. Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years, John?
Look, I'm exactly the same. I mean, I think in broad terms, I think if you had have asked me that question 5 years ago, I probably would have had a more fixed answer. But the reality is the world is changing more rapidly than probably it ever has in history. The things that are coming up particularly in 10 years are freaking wild. They are so wild, it's hard to even believe what's coming up in so many spaces too. We're not just talking about AI here. A lot of it is linked to that, robotics, human longevity, health. There are some pretty fucking out there things that are going to happen in the next 10 years. And you might say, well, that's scary. Yeah, in a sense, it is a bit scary. But at the same time, the opportunities that are involved in that are just wild. I think like there are going to be so many opportunities there, and that's why you have to be on the playing field right now. Like just in business, like all businesses are going to change. All business models are going to change, whether it's drop shipping, whether it's others, they're all going to change. So sitting here and saying, do I know where I'm going to be in 10 years? Fuck no. I have no fucking idea. I agree with Ben. I will still be on the field playing the business game because I want to be there to take advantage of the opportunities that arise. And once you know how to run one business, once you know how to sell stuff, you can make money in so many ways. So will I be, I mean, if somebody wants me to say I'll be doing drop shipping in 10 years, yeah, I mean, maybe not though. Will I be doing it in 5 years? I think 5 years, yes, for sure. I mean, as Ben said, we've got a plan together. We're business partners, and I don't see that changing. Dropship Breakthru will be here as long as people want to take our program. We'll still be doing that for as long as people want to be a part of that. And so, but yeah, I'm super excited for the next 5 to 10 years. I'll be doing business. At what level? I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of the excitement. I'd kind of feel a bit sad if I said I know where I'm going to be in 10 years. That was one of the reasons why I left employment and wanted to get out of my job, is because if I stuck with that, I knew exactly where I would be in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years, these days, actually, probably in 40 years at the time when I was 30. And that fucking knowing that scared the shit out of me. I was like, holy fuck, you're telling me I'm still going to be sitting at this in an office like this somewhere doing this shit in 10 years time? That is abhorrent. And so to me, that certainty is not something I chase. I don't give a fuck what I'm doing in 10 years. As long as I'm doing something I believe in, as long as I'm having fun, as long as I'm challenged regularly, then it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'll be doing business too. I mean, like I say, I can't turn it off either. It's an addiction. It's a great addiction. It's the best addiction, I think, to have, outside of maybe, in some cases, maybe some health things or something like that. But like, yeah, I'm not going to turn it off. In case everybody missed it, Ben's wife joined us. That was there. There's Heather and Ben down there in the bottom of the screen. So cute.
Oh boy.
Thank you for jumping on.
She's probably still watching. Hi, Miss K. Thanks for stopping. All right, next question. Are you guys still using the Superstore theme? Yes, Corey, we are actually. Superstore has been our recommended Shopify theme for years now, and it still is. In my opinion, I haven't seen anything else come on the market that does a better job. Out of the Sandbox / Pixel Union, in my view, are still the best and biggest Shopify theme developer out there. It's a well-supported theme. We're partners with them. You can find our name on their website. I think, I don't see that changing anytime soon, for sure. And if you go to dropshipbreakthru.com/300, you can get a free copy when you join our course. We give one out to every single student who buys our full course. And we have a whole 12 video section from Leighton Taylor, who's a Shopify developer for Envision.io, and a couple of videos from myself on how to make the theme even better when it comes to SEO, when it comes to performance. Yep. And so only more coming there too. Leighton is building some really cool stuff for us right now that I'm excited to release to our audience in the near future as well. I love that theme.
And once again, another good difference between Dropship Breakthru and other dropshipping courses. There's a lot of other courses out there who say they give you a Shopify theme, right? And it's usually a theme they've had developed for themselves, right? So we buy that theme every time we have a new student. We buy a license of the Superstore theme for that student. People, yes, we could develop our own theme and then just basically give it away for free to people and whatnot. But the reality is it would be an inferior product. And all of those people who have a dropshipping course with their own theme, those themes are dog shit, right? They're terrible. They're unsupported. They're terribly supported. And they're not good. They're not good for SEO. They're not good for anything. So it's not even a selling point for other people's courses. But we actually pay money. This is why maybe some people say your course is a bit more expensive. Yeah, because we spend money on our students. Right, there are costs involved, and so that's definitely one of them. Next question.
While you're looking, I'll address. Victor said, when you have an SEO optimized version of Superstore and Out of the Sandbox releases updates like they did today, how do you handle that? I don't touch it. Like I don't. I think the updates are like most of the time not worth it in my opinion, unless it's some really cool update. I would probably have my developer help me with that. But the reality is, like, when you update and they tell you everything moves, it doesn't move. Like you lose a ton of stuff in your theme and you have to go re-implement. It's the dumbest thing ever to go from like whatever 5.2 to 5.3. It makes zero sense to me. So I'm running an older version currently on the site that I share often in our membership. Seems to be working just fine. I have no issue with that. But if you want to upgrade and you want to use their transfer thing, it works for most things, just not all things.
Yep, I'd say that. I mean, unless the upgrade, the things that they're upgrading are like serious upgrades, you know, with either functionality that you really want, or maybe if there was some type of security type things. But once again, that's rare as well because it's Shopify. Shopify takes care of the checkout security. That's got nothing to do with your theme or anything. So it's fairly rare. Like if you're over on WordPress and that sort of thing, you know, you got a whole bunch of different worries about things like security and or if you're on your own site sort of thing. But on Shopify, there's less of that. Random crazy fun.
Is this Victor from In the Course, by the way? I've been wondering this the whole time. Is this like, that's not the last name you use in the course, so just put a little chat there. I'm curious. Is this the Victor who's on every call?
Random Crazy Fun asks on YouTube, is the group coaching access and Slack channel only available with Elite membership? The answer is yes, it is. It's part of what we call our Elite membership upgrade. You get group coaching, Slack channel, some additional content that's not available to everybody else. And if you join on our deal, which you can see scrolling along the bottom there, dropshipbreakthru.com/300, you will get access to that for 3 months for free with your membership there. Usually we don't do that. Usually it's $97 a month. So there's a saving there for you. All right. Here's one from Brad. Hey, Brad, another one of our regular call attendees. Good to see you, Brad. Was there a profound turning point when imposter syndrome subsided, enabling you to go all in and do the things you teach us at Dropship Breakthru? I came out of the blocks quickly, hitting well over 300K in 8 months. Well done, Brad. Another successful student in the program. And the fear now is investing in the resources to scale as I need to. Good question.
I think you're gonna get two different answers here from John and myself. It's still here every day, and then I start talking about the stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've done that. Imposter syndrome comes from you not having done something because you don't know the shit. Layla Hormozy loves to talk about this, and I will not do justice how well she talks about it. The reality is, like, you just need to do it and then fall on your face, and then you'll do it. And you'll be like, oh, okay, now I know how to do it, and the imposter syndrome will go away. And so be okay with making mistakes. Like, be okay hiring somebody and it going poorly. It's going to happen. Like, you're going to hire somebody that sucks at some point, and that's it. It'll be fine. Then you'll hire somebody who doesn't suck, and you'll learn what worked. The same way you built your business. You're going to do it one way and then realize it didn't work, and then do it another way, and then you'll figure out how it works. And so imposter syndrome is something I've struggled with my entire journey. So I feel for you. My only advice is just keep showing up. Like, that's it. I don't know. John, does it ever show up for you? John is like a zombie. He is a robot of a human.
No, it does. It definitely does. It comes up. Yeah, it comes up from time to time at different points. But I think you're right in terms of, like, it comes up because you're afraid of, you have fear around what might happen. I think usually it's one of those things where if you're feeling it, it means the thing you're thinking of doing is the right thing to do. Right. Now that isn't going to help you move past the fear, but I think sometimes feeling that sort of resistance and there's different versions of like fears and imposter syndrome and different things that people feel. It's always usually a guiding light that you're about to do something that you need to do or that you know you should do. And I think that's a comforting, in some ways, a comforting thing to actually feel that. Because if you're never feeling imposter syndrome or you're never feeling challenged, it means you're not doing anything. Like, if you go through life and you never feel those sort of things, it means you're not actually challenging yourself. You're ordinary as. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that as such. I mean, if that's your goal in life, then, well, you're winning, I guess. More power to you, being ordinary. But if you dream for more, then you have to feel the fear, because that's how you know you're going to the next level, is when you feel those fears. So, I mean, to me, it always, I guess the way I break through those points where I'm about to do something I know I need to do, but I'm scared of it, or I'm fearful of the outcome, and I'm uncertain of the outcome. A couple of things. Like, I just ask myself, like, what's going to happen if it goes wrong? Like, if I do this thing and I just fuck it up completely, what is the absolute worst thing that's going to happen? Right. All right. So I'm going to chuck some money into this business, and I'm not going to get a return on it straight away. Like, what is going to happen? Like, write it down. Like, exactly in my life, how is it going to affect me in a practical way? Okay. And so what? And so what does that then mean? Like, and if the answer is not like I'm going to be homeless or death, then who cares? So breaking it down. And the thing that I think of is like, what's the alternative to what I'm doing now, right? So when we talk about having to invest more resources to scale your business, for example, if you don't do that, your business is going to die. You can't maintain a plateau. No business just sits at X number of revenue year after year after year. You either grow or you die. That's the reality in business, right? And so if you don't invest that money, your business is fucked. That's what I'm going to tell you. And you're going to go back to doing whatever you were doing before. What do you want more? You want to go back to doing back to square one? You wouldn't be at exactly square one, because, you've got knowledge and practice and skills that maybe you didn't have before, and you could use that to do something else. Sure. So you're not going back to square one. I shouldn't say that, because that's not actually true, but you're going back a long way, and you're going to have to do a whole bunch of work to come back up. Or do you want to take the chance on something, and it maybe knocks you back a little bit if it doesn't work, but more than likely it's going to work to a certain extent. Maybe it doesn't work well, but it works half as well as you thought it might work. You're still ahead. Your business is growing. You're not plateauing. You're not dying. And so, like, that's kind of how I think about it as well. Like, what's the alternative to not doing it? That thing that you're feeling imposter syndrome about, because usually that alternative is a lot worse than actually doing the thing you're scared of.
Sorry, I'm over here thanking some of the people who have left in our Slack, just saying thank you for being here. And that's me off air. I'm sorry, these are funny. I appreciate everyone who's here. I'm literally reaching out to people who have left, just saying thank you. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Brad, for that question. And man, you are not alone in that, Brad.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing? There is one other scenario John didn't outline. Like, square one, or like you hire some people. There's this like middle ground that's even worse, where you are working 60 hours a week, answering every phone call, handling all the customer service, dealing with all the headaches, running your marketing, building the SEO. That's worse to me than like actually just like hiring somebody and failing, and then hiring somebody till you get somebody, or like, completely not doing this and like going back to zero. There's some people who are in our course who have, and they've gotten pretty far. They've gotten 1 million a year, 2 million a year, but they're doing everything. And to me, that's almost like a worse place to be. Because I'm not doing this to build myself a job. I'm doing this to build myself a business. And in a business, you need to like remove yourself. And it's a lesson I'm still teaching myself to this day, but you have to trust people and remove yourself and like elevate and delegate. And so don't get to that place, Brad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, let's ask. So I contacted a supplier. A supplier was told the first step is to complete an application. A credit application was emailed to me and asked for bank and trade references. How should I handle this? That's an easy one. Good beginner question. A lot of suppliers use the same form for people who are drop shipping as they do for people who are getting a credit account, which is usually physical retail stores or something like that. Leave those sections blank. You don't need to fill them in, is the answer. When you send back the form, just say, look, I've left those blank. We're not seeking credit terms because we're drop shipping. We're going to pay for everything up front. That's fine, like 99.9% of the time. All right, Motivation University. I love people's YouTube names. We don't get your real name from YouTube. A good stream, guys, is a niche / market validated if you manage to make 2 sales within 2 weeks, $400 plus profit each sale of starting your business, or could they just be lucky sales? Been live for 3 weeks. There is no lucky sales for starters. That's not a thing. Look, People ask this question a lot, or a version of this question a lot, around like, when should I jump out of a niche? When should I start again? When should I know that my niche is good or not? And I don't even think about it like that at all. If you did niche selection right, like 90, once again, a really high percentage, 98% of the time, it's the right niche. It's going to work. The question is, are you going to be there long enough for it to work? Like and this is why comparing to other people is such a terrible thing to do. Every niche is different. The periods of times it takes to make X number of sales is different all the time. And I've seen people who the first year felt like a bit of a struggle. The second year, they did multiple millions in sales. Like things just started to click and it really took off. I've seen other people who started and made $1 million in sales in their first year, and then they plateaued completely and found it really hard to grow from there. Like neither one of those is right or wrong, and they're just completely different. And so you made 2 sales within 2 weeks. I made 2 sales in my first month of running my very first business.
Same.
2 sales in 1 month. And then I made a couple of, I think I made 3 or 4 in the second month. Like I had a slow start. The niche was fine. So 2 sales in 2 weeks and you're $400 profit each sale. That's a great start. Good on you. Keep going. Like you can't say whether a niche is good or not when all you do is walk into it with a few suppliers and run some ads. Like that's not enough. To me, the is a niche validated or not is decided in niche selection. It's not. Yes, sometimes you can get into a niche that ticks all the boxes. You get into it and there's just something about it that's not right. Like maybe margins are really low, or maybe it's like sometimes there's a few of those. And I want to say it's such a small number that it's not really worth talking about other than acknowledging that it does happen. So I don't even think about this. If I did my niche selection right, the niche works. I've just got to work out how it works. Once I work out how it works, mate, like some products don't sell well on paid traffic, but they sell really well with organic traffic, for example. Like this happens. We see this, and vice versa. And so until you've really had to go at growing the store with all of the marketing tools that we have at our disposal, you can't say whether a niche works or not.
I've got a great segue here, John. This is coming out, and the episode right after this, John and I recorded, I believe it went well over an hour, high ticket dropshipping niche selection, really went in depth, talked about some new things that we're looking at. John threw me on the spot to do some of the SEO stuff that I look at. We try to keep it beginner level, but also at the same time, we went really in depth here. So, the answer to this question, the answer to Corey's question on the end here is when this comes out. The next episode 301 on the 23rd of May is going to answer this thing. So you pay attention to that episode. If you're just listening to this on the podcast, stick around for 2 more days and you'll hear a doozy of an episode. That's also a pretty long one.
Yep. Narita asked for the 300 deal, is this in US or Australian dollars? It's in US dollars. We're a US company. I'm Australian, of course, but our pricing is always in US dollars. If anybody sees the deal and has questions about pricing or the deal or whatever, or you got some requirements you want to talk about, send an email to support@dropshipbreakthru.com. We're happy to talk to you about that. But the deal is in US dollars. Yes. Thank you, Narita. Rodrigo was in there and actually answered that question. Good on you, Rodrigo. I'll chuck that up there. Corey asked the question, what type of products in size, niches, or headaches in general would you recommend to avoid? E-bikes. Infrared saunas.
There's a few that are getting too much for sure. Certainly, again, episode 301, you're really going to like that one, Corey. I think we did an episode on this too, John, of like, here's the niches that we wouldn't go in. It was some that we had been in, right? Like a standing desk would not go into standing desk. It is just too competitive. E-bikes, I think saunas is getting close. There's some weird restrictions in there. We bought that my pellet grill site, and some of the reasons we bought it back kind of dried up. So I probably wouldn't recommend just doing pellet grill. I don't think John would recommend doing a one product store anyway, but like, I think there are some industries where I would stay out. But for the most part, like, it works everywhere. This, going back to that question you just had of like, I had 2 sales in 3 weeks. First off, hell fucking yeah, that's amazing. Every fucking thing works. everything works. Like if you are willing to put in the work and do a business, you're going to find ways to make it work. And so like if you're looking to come in here and hit a home run and do 1 million sales and make a bunch of money, like that rarely happens. For the most part, you need to like take the time to build your business and do marketing and like actually speak to your customer. And if you're willing to do that in any industry, you're probably going to find some shit that works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we talk about size niches, I mean, niches, yeah, there's a few. And once again, it's a pretty small, group. I think there are certainly ones that are more challenging than others, like homewares, for example. I don't really recommend people go into homewares just because, the products are very commoditized and it's harder to do the marketing in there than it is in, say, a passion or enthusiast-based niche. Size, I don't really mind, but I do think about, as Ben mentioned earlier, like the price to size ratio, I think is important. If you're going to sell really big, heavy products, don't do ones that are like $1,000 or $800. That probably doesn't work fantastically well in a lot of cases. You want them to be more expensive, but there's solutions to so much of that stuff that, the list of things that we would rule out is actually not that big, to be honest. There are literally so many niches out there, or so many angles on different niches and things like that, when you take into account business to business based markets and things like that, it's still massive. There are so many opportunities. And like Ben said, we talk about this on an upcoming podcast episode, I think. And there's so much that you can do there. Awesome.
The Waterloo's running through me, John. So if you want to wrap this up, I'm okay with wrapping this up.
Yeah, well, I don't think we've got many more questions there. So once again, though, if we do find some questions there that were not answered on this live recording, we will probably use them for an upcoming podcast episode. This is one of the ways that we do get ideas for podcast episodes, is from having you guys post questions and comments in places like our Facebook groups, in our course, on YouTube. So as I said earlier in the call, man, I mean, having you guys here with us today is amazing. Having everybody who's not here live but is going to listen to this 300th episode, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for listening in for so long. And please, reach out to us, not to just let us know how you're going. We just like to hear from people who listen to the podcast and what you're doing. What are you doing with what you hear on the podcast? We want to hear about that. If you've got ideas for things that you'd love to hear us talk about, send them in, please. We're happy also to have our podcast content guided by you guys, the guys who spend your time listening to us every day. And of course, I mean, if you're ready to get started, and if you've been listening to the podcast a long time and you haven't got started, and now's the time. No point listening if you're not doing. Dropshipbreakthru.com/300 has a fantastic deal on it right now that you can get started in your own high-ticket dropshipping journey.
Thanks for listening to the Dropship Podcast. You can find all the show notes for this episode at dropshippodcast.com. And if you're ready to take the next step in your dropshipping journey, we invite you to join us inside Dropship Breakthru, where John and I will walk you through step-by-step in starting your own high-ticket dropshipping e-commerce business. But that's not all. Dropship Breakthru will also teach you everything you'll need to know to grow your business and take it to the next level. So head over to dropshipbreakthru.com and sign up for our free training that will help you take the first steps towards building and growing your own profitable high-ticket dropshipping business.